Let's talk about the loser of the Super Bowl real quick. The Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals lost 23-20. It was a crushing, heartbreaking loss. 13-8 overall record. All everybody's talking about right now is that the Bengals have a bright future. They will be back. Joe Burrow is hungry. God. Jamar Chase tweeted, damn, after the loss. You know he was feeling it. Are the Bengals' future as bright as we think it is? Do you think they can eventually get back to the Super Bowl?
Getting back to the Super Bowl is a tough task.
Very.
It really is. Dan Marino went his first year, never went back. I'm sure people definitely thought after that season that Dan Marino would take the Dolphins back to the Super Bowl. Ask my dad. He's dreading that decision being a Dolphins fan. He hates Dan Marino. As much as he loves him,
that's crazy.
He hates him because he made him a Dolphins fan for life.
Dan Marino's a GOAT.
Oh, that's his guy. Like, he has so many signed memorabilia from Dan Marino, went to his Hall of Fame induction ceremony. He absolutely adores Dan Marino. But he holds it against him for making him believe at such a young age, and now he's basically had a whole life of torture. But that's changing. It's changing very soon. It's changing very soon.
Tua the guy. Next Marino.
With this offensive line, the fact that, hey, I don't think I let that one seep through the cracks. 100%. To see this team make it to the Super Bowl with this horrendous of an offensive line, to come back 18 points down against the Chiefs in Kansas City to win that game, there's something about this team that really is special. And now if you put together an offensive line, look at how fast the Chargers put together an offensive line for Justin Herbert after one season.
Look at the Chiefs.
Look at the Chiefs again is a great example also. It is possible to rebuild it. You bring in Armstead, immediately that fixes one problem. You draft however many offensive line. I joke about it all the time. If a team drafted offensive line with 1 through 7, I wouldn't bat an eye. If you need offensive linemen that badly, do it. Because that is the second most important criteria, in my opinion, for building a team. When you have your franchise quarterback, that's number 1. Number 2 is putting a line to protect him. You ultimately cannot win without an offensive line. Patrick Mahomes experienced that last season, where he was dominant throughout the entire season, dominant in the postseason. His left tackle and his right tackle went out, and it was hell for him in the Super Bowl. He tried as hard as he could to keep him afloat like Joe Burrow did, but ultimately the pressure wins. I think that, do they have a chance to make the Super Bowl again? Yes. Yeah. With the talent that they have, Jamar Chase is proving to be everything.
He could be the best receiver in the league.
You could argue that he is the most talented wide receiver in the NFL right now as stands currently.
You can argue he's the best.
Honest to God, you really could. And take everything to account, you can't do that right now with Cooper Kupp. Yeah. You can't. If you say talent,
we got to give Cooper Kupp his respect for at least 1 year.
Cooper Kupp, at least 48 hours. At least 48 hours.
Cooper Kupp he had the best.
Right? Like, come on.
He had the best receiving season ever. But we saw Jamar Chase versus every big time cornerback matchup dominate. Marlon Humphrey, who was a top 10 corner, Jamar Chase absolutely obliterated him. I think it was an even matchup before with Jalen Ramsey, I would say, but a lot of people were going into the game thinking that Jamar wasn't going to do anything on Jalen Ramsey, and he hit him with that stutter step. That's the best corner in the league. Like, we've seen Jamar against these top-notch corners give them the business. He had 200-plus yards on Marlon Humphrey.
I'll be honest, though. He had the great play that Jamar made. Jamar is just a special type player that he made a one-handed catch with his that was his right hand, so it was his dominant hand. He had that one catch in the fourth quarter. That was it on Jalen.
On the third down play, he would have caught the ball had Joe Burrow threw it with a little bit more zip. It was a very low pass. He beat Jalen Ramsey on that play.
And really quick, one of the funniest things, one of the most egregious things that PFF ever has done was issue Jalen Ramsey's stat line where he gave up 4 receptions, 160 yards, let up over a 120 passer rating. But really, it's 75 yards accounted from a play that should never have happened, and Jamar Chase's amazing catch.
Ramsey had a good game.
He did.
He did have a really good game.
He stopped a touchdown, a slant to T. Higgins.
He did.
That was a game-breaking play.
That was the same drive he left the huge play to Jamar.
The only play that I really am, if I'm nitpicking, is the play that Jamar Chase had where Jalen tried to jump in and get the interception to end the game. If I'm nitpicking, you know that you've been dominant all game in terms of frontline pressure. You as a whole, the individual, have had a really solid game. There's no reason to bite on it knowing the situation. You just have to play on Jamar Chase. Don't try to make the big play, and then if you flop, then Jamar Chase gets a bigger play. Now back to the topic at hand. I do believe you put an offensive line. I think it can take a single offseason to put in a solid offensive line behind Joe Burrow. The defense has shown that it can. You just brought in Trey Hendrickson. Jesse Bates was absolutely excellent for you. You brought in Mike Hilton. This secondary, Eli Apple definitely didn't have the greatest performance in the Super Bowl, not by any means. Twitter definitely let him know it. McCole Hardman, Ty Hill, Rashad Bateman, Lamar, Marquise, they really went in on him. But they do have talent on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, they clearly have the talent to be among the best offenses in the league. It's a matter of putting an offensive line in front of Joe Burrow, and I do think that they are more than capable of doing that just this one offseason. So I do think that they will be back.
Yeah, one thing we talked about when we had Mike Sands on was, do you think the Bengals are going to get aggressive, right? And he mentioned how last offseason was really it's the first time in a while where the Bengals went out and spent money and really invested into this team. Yep. And that makes me think, especially after going to the Super Bowl this year, that ownership hopefully will see that and put even more, resources into this team. It's easy to sit here and be like, oh yeah, the Bengals will be back, right? We just saw them go on this really good run. Joe Burrow we got Bleacher Report out here saying he's going to be the MVP next year. So there's an incredible hype around them. They have a really cool quarterback. They have one of the best receivers in the game. They have a young head coach, a great running back. So, everything about them is just cool. And to an average fan, you might think, oh yeah, there's not a doubt in my mind they'll be in the Super Bowl. Maybe they might not make the Super Bowl, but they're in the playoffs at the very least. And that's not always the case. Year to year, 50% of teams who make the playoffs don't make it the following year.
You're saying Joe Burrow's the next Mark Sanchez?
Not saying that. He's much more talented than Mark Sanchez was. But when you look back in history, look at Rodgers in 2011, who made the Super Bowl, didn't go back. San Fran in 2013 with Cap in that core, where we thought, this is a team that's going to you have to deal with them every single year in year out with Harbaugh and all those boys.
Could they go back? That's the question.
Yeah.
Correct.
But the question is, any team could go to the Super Bowl. Okay. You know what I mean?
I don't know about any team.
Well, what are we saying? Can they go back to the Super Bowl for the rest of our? You know what I mean? Like with this
core,
core with Burrow, yeah, they could make the playoffs.
Exactly.
They could make the Super Bowl again. I don't think they have a better than 50% chance.
Okay, I'm with you.
I agree. But I don't want to sit here, and even one other team that stuck out was Seattle with LOB in 2015.
They went back.
They did.
They went back to back.
Yeah,
and they should be 2-time champs if not for Pete Carroll absolutely fluffing.
That was a great play call though.
By Bill Belichick.
It was a great play by
Malcolm Butler.
Yeah,
the greatest defensive play
the call
ever
Pete
made.
Carroll made was not.
No, it was horrible.
It was.
No, it's one of the worst calls I've ever seen in my life.
I once thought like you, but I listened.
There's nothing you can tell me otherwise.
I listened
Marshawn Lynch is the MVP for the Seattle Seahawks, is clearly the best player for them all night.
All year long, he wasn't good in those situations. And
Marshawn Lynch?
No, statistically he wasn't. And
he just got them to the 1 yard line.
Patriots played a goal line formation in that play, and there was going to be a free defender coming free on that play had they ran the ball. Like, I listened to a podcast with Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, and Sean McVay talked about it, how people chastised Carroll, but it was good thinking. The execution wasn't right, but it was good thinking. But that's why I'm disagreeing with you.
I don't want to sit here and just, shit on the Bengals because, listen, you guys have a really talented team, and you just made the Super Bowl. That's something that I can't say I've ever seen my team do. And, you have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and all of these guys who are young, even T. Higgins. Tyler Boyd's only 27 years old, even though it seems like he's been in the league forever. And what's really good about it is they only have 5 players on their team who are going to be 30 or older, right? The only significant one really being Riley Reif. Their entire core is young, signed long-term when you look at Hendrickson, Burrow, Chase, all of these guys who were drafted in the last couple of years and really turned this team around. They also have an estimated $57 million in cap, third most in the NFL. So they're going to be able to bring whoever they want back, plus bring in whoever they want to sign in free agency, because all of these players just saw how Joe Burrow turned around this entire franchise, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of players who want to go and play with Burrow and play with the Bengals. The biggest thing for me about this Bengals team is I look at the AFC, and I look at the AFC North, and I know Lamar is going to be back, and I know the Steelers.
I don't want to hear this.
The Steelers are one of the most well-run organizations in the league. They're going to pick up a quarterback who's going to be better than Big Ben, who has not been good the last 2 years. And even though I'm not a fan of Baker Mayfield and the Browns, they have a really good roster, a really good head coach, and they're going to be a team that's going to be winning over these next couple of years. No matter how much I hate Baker, they're going to be in competition. So
you're going to die on this hill.
They're going to be in a really tough division. And then you look at the rest of the AFC. You got the Josh Allens, the Patrick Mahomes, the Zach Wilsons. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be difficult for them to come out of the AFC. Right. It's going to be stacked. And then you got to think you have Herbert still coming up. There's rumors that Aaron Rodgers might get traded to the AFC. So it's very easy to sit here and be like, you know what? The Bengals, they have money. They have a young core. They have a franchise quarterback. Are we all sold on Zach Taylor? We think he's the long-term head coach. We think he's the guy. Okay, I'm not 100% sold on him. I think this is Joe Burrow more than anything being able to elevate him. So it's easy to sit here and say that, but I look at the AFC North. I look at the AFC in general. It wouldn't shock me if they just missed the playoffs next year.
Oh, my God.
I'll start with the point that you made about Zach Taylor. I think Zach Taylor proved himself as a coach this year. I know that there's still a lot of doubt on him. I've heard him being compared to Matt Nagy. When he came from Sean McVay's system, he spread out the offense. I thought that was an innovative move by him. He's not even the play caller, it's Brian Callahan, but I think what he needs to work on this offseason is converting on earlier downs. The Bengals are very reliant on big-time plays, and they have big-time playmakers. But
they're very run-heavy on early downs.
They're reliant on big-time plays. And they need to adjust this offense to the point where they're converting on early downs, and they're not heavily reliant on these streaks to Jamar or jump balls to T. Higgins as much.
Can I ask you real quick? Chiefs are similar, where they rely on the big play to win games.
But this year they showed that they could be patient and move the ball down the field.
But they still had a lot of big plays that influenced the games.
Well, yeah, when you have Tyreek Hill and Kelsey, it's going to
exactly my point. They have Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
They have T. Higgins.
But
These are big play type guys.
I don't know if teams are going to defend the Bengals like they did the Chiefs this year. Do they get that respect right away like this?
Too high? They probably do defend them with too high, I'll be honest.
The thing is, too high is tough when you have two people that can go over the top. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like both Jamar and T. Higgins both have those physical capabilities to beat them over the top.
I actually think that's why you play too high.
You have man, and then you have the two safeties over the top.
But then, again, all Joe Burrow really has to do is stare you off, and one of these guys can get open.
I'll say this. Do I think the Bengals will be back? They have Joe Burrow, right? They'll be back. Joe Burrow is different from other quarterbacks in the sense that he's just one of the best there is. And you guys know I put him in the elite tier. I put him up there with the Mahomes, with the Allens.
Not Stafford, though.
Yeah, I don't. Burrow doesn't have the talent, you're right, but he has the intangibles. He has the leadership. I just put him in that different tier with guys. I think he is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. He got sacked 70 times this year, 19 times in the postseason, which is the most a quarterback has taken in the playoffs in the last 20 years. In the Super Bowl, the Bengals had the third worst pass blocking grade of any team all season. It was like 100-plus games played, more. They gave him no time, and he still played a pretty good game in the Super Bowl. He managed to do what he can do. He didn't make mistakes. Well, I wouldn't say mistakes. I'll say he didn't make back-breaking mistakes that cost him the game.
I really don't think he made many mistakes.
The game.
I don't really think he made for the amount of time.
Aaron Donald had 8 pressures against the Bengals.
He was going to do what he did.
The Bengals had 6 in total as a team.
I mean, Donald's going to do that regardless.
And Von Miller.
The Bengals have $60+ million in cap space. But if they cut Trey Waynes, they have $10 million, which means they have $70 million.
They got all the bread.
Riley Reif, Ogunjobi, Uzama, Bates, Quentin Spain, B.J. Hill, Eli Apple are all free agents, like guys who I think they could possibly bring back. And Auden Tate, I can't forget about him.
Auden Tate.
Look, I think this offseason is about getting offensive linemen. Brandon Scherf, Andrew Norwell, Ali Marpet, Teron Armstead, Ryan Jensen, Mark Glowinski.
There's guys.
Got to get somebody in there. If I'm the Bengals, this is my dream offensive line. For realism purposes, I won't get every big time guy, but Teron Armstead, Quentin Spain, I'd bring him back. I know he got beat by Donovan, but I mean it's Aaron Donald.
Everyone does.
Ali Marpet, Andrew Norwell, and Jonah Williams. I'm moving him to right tackle. Jonah Williams cannot be the left tackle next year. They drafted him high. He was supposed to be the franchise guy. He gets beat too much on the left side. He has to be on the right side. You mentioned the AFC North. I actually think the Bengals are ascending in the perfect time where the AFC North is getting weaker.
I agree.
You talk about the Steelers getting a quarterback. It's not that easy to find one.
Ask the Broncos.
Garoppolo.
Garoppolo.
Garoppolo's better than Ben.
Hear me out,
Garoppolo
though.
would be better than Ben.
But Garoppolo takes him over the Bengals.
But their
Probably not,
Their
but they're
offensive line's
respectable.
not good. The reason why Jimmy was able to stay afloat was because the Niners' offensive line is top of the league.
Yeah. I trust Tomlin.
I do trust Tomlin too, but it's tough for me.
I don't think they find a quarterback this offseason.
What'd they go with Mason Rudolph? 9-7? 8-8?
Something like that.
They had the best defense in the NFL,
Yeah,
and the Bengals were not good.
And their offensive line was not what it was this season.
For sure. I'm still Mason Rudolph is
I'm with you.
the worst quarterback.
Yeah, it might be.
With the Browns,
Yeah.
with the Browns, I don't trust Baker, and they have no receiving. They have no receivers.
They're gonna draft.
I was gonna say
I know,
receiver's
but
the easiest position to grab.
Outside of Jarvis Landry, they have no reliable receivers.
I'm with you, but going into this offseason, they do have to understand. I'm sure they do understand. That's our biggest.
Stefanski
I
was
know.
coach of the year. They have a top O line, a great run game,
All right,
good pass rush.
they have Baker Mayfield. I'm not sold.
Ultimately, I agree.
I'm not
I know.
sold.
I agree.
And then you look at the Ravens. Had one of the worst defenses last year. Joe Burrow smoked them so bad. Martindale was like, I'm leaving this division. I can't face this guy twice. He left. He's one of the better defensive minds the league has. And he left the Ravens. So I think their defense drops off, even though I know they had a lot of injuries.
An unprecedented amount of injuries.
And talking about Joe Burrow and Lamar, it's not even a debate. It's Joe Burrow all day.
Whoa, not a debate.
It's Joe Burrow all day.
That's how you're feeling?
It's
Let him
Joe
talk.
Burrow all day.
You know what? I've been in these shoes. I've been in these shoes. I've been in these shoes.
Because I get it. Joe Burrow has all the hype. He's the new cool. He's that guy. I get it. I'm gonna have Joe Burrow gets his time in the sun. He deserves it 1,000%. We know where I stand.
I respect that.
Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in this division. The Bengals have the best receivers in this division.
Easy.
I think they have the best defensive line outside of the Steelers in this division. Their linebackers are there, man. They're getting Akeem Davis-Gaither back. I think I said his name right. Logan Wilson is a standout guy. They got to bring back Jesse Bates.
Need to.
He didn't even play well in the regular season. He plays like he played like in the playoffs in the regular season. We're talking about a guy who can be an all-pro next year.
So the Bengals, were they? Are they the 1 seed next year?
In the AFC North?
No, AFC. Because I already know
That's
they're going to
too
win the
hard.
division.
I have to see who they pick up because I can't, I don't know who they're picking up.
We're 2 days removed from
in
the
the
Super Bowl.
in the AFC North.
Trying to get him to say something bold.
In the AFC, I'm not afraid to say it.
Exactly. That's Joel.
In the AFC North, they will run it,
Okay.
and it's because Joe Burrow's that main guy.
I agree.
They'll run it.
All right. Cool.
And the AFC North,
not make the playoffs, bro, is nuts.
Wouldn't shock me.
That's nuts. That's a little crazy.
because he's a Lamar Jackson guy.
But
It's
I'm a
not even
Lamar Jackson guy too.
I just know the drastic changes. And like you said, you have to get lucky to get the Super Bowl. You're right. Let's not forget they were the 6th seed. They were a game away from not even making the playoffs.
No, they definitely played their butts up.
Comment section's having a field day right now.
That's
with
fine.
Joe-
Burrow over Lamar for sure. Lamar's gonna fade away like RG3 and Cam. Sorry, that's terrible. Burrow is way better than Lamar. Shouldn't even be a topic. It's Black Ace, Patreon member. Shout out to him. Lamar's still slightly better. Don't want recency bias to get me.